Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are. I'm very happy to have today our fourth session on how to navigate the complex funding panorama and how to get access to innovative sources funds. And today, I'm more than happy to introduce you Bruno Borges. Bruno has a lot of experience in the social sector. He knows which are the challenge that the social entrepreneurs struggle with, because Bruno used to be the global director of Ashoka and is right now the co-founder and CEO of The Good Ask. And Bruno is going to tell us a little bit more today about the Giving campaign and how the Giving campaigns could be an alternative for the organizations that want to diversify their source of funds and also be more sustainable without depending on international fund or humanitarian aid fund. So over to you, Bruno.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Madalena. I see Otavio there. Thank you guys for having me. It's great to be here and wonderful to recognize some of the Ashoka names. After spending almost a decade with Ashoka, it's great to reconnect with the network. So I thought I would let me share my screen so I can pull the presentation. Can you guys see my screen? Wonderful. So let me start the presentation here. There you go. So I thought for today, we would start talking about the importance of raising unrestricted funds. And then we're going to cover the topic of the giving campaigns as a powerful tool for social entrepreneurs to raise unrestricted funds. And then I will share, of course, a lot about Good Ask, Gabby, as you proposed, and then talk about how can we collaborate to co-create impactful giving campaigns that can increase the access to unrestricted funding for Catalyst members. And we'll make sure that we have a good time at the end for questions. I would love to hear your questions and your feedback. So talking about the importance of raising unrestricted funds, I thought I would start by sharing a personal story and how this challenge actually affected me personally. The year was 2020. I was the CEO of Techo in the US. For those of you who might not be familiar with Techo, Techo is an international organization based in Latin America that build houses for families living in poverty. The organization works across 18 different countries in Latin America, has engaged more than 1.4 million volunteers, has built more than 500,000 homes for families living in poverty. Tremendous impact. The year was 2020. I was working with Techo. We were doing great. I was the CEO of Techo US and the Chief Development Officer for Techo globally. And we were raising a significant amount of money to build homes for these families in need. And then suddenly the pandemic started. And when the pandemic started, we had to pause the construction activities because we couldn't expose or put in risk the health of the families that were receiving those homes, and we couldn't risk the health of the volunteers that we were bringing to build those homes across all these different communities in Latin America. But we also quickly realized that with all the lockdowns across Latin America, these families that we were supporting, because the vast majority of them live, dependent on the informal marketplace to make their living, we realized that these families, more than the houses, of course, they will need food. Basically, they will need, to find a way to survive. So we decided to launch an initiative called the Empathy Pact back then. And the Empathy Pact was basically an initiative to raise funds to distribute emergency kits to the families in need, basic food items to these families across the region. And the moment when we launched the Empathy Pact, I started calling every single donor, every single corporate partner to ask them if we could allocate the funds that were previously allocated to construction activities and move those funds to the distribution of the emergency kits. luckily, many partners agreed, many donors agreed to do that, and we were able to increase the distribution of emergency kits. But many said no. And we, of course, now we understand, because at that point, in the very beginning of the pandemic, nobody knew exactly what was going on, how long that thing will last. So some of the donors and the corporate partners, they were very hesitant about, reallocating the funds to the distribution, from construction to the distribution of emergency kits. But for us, that was devastating, because we were seeing, in one hand, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars sitting in our bank account, and on the other hand, thousands and thousands of families desperate needs for support and for, again, food, basically. And that's when, during my time with Ashoka, we were always kind of exploring ways to raise unrestricted funds and how important unrestricted funds were. But it was during that time with Techo that I really realized how important having unrestricted funds would be, because, in that situation in particular, if we could move all the funds that we have raised for the homes to the distribution of emergency kits, we will be reaching a lot more people. I mean, at the end of the day, the Empathy Pact was a very successful initiative. We raised close to $2 million. We were able to reach more than 1 million people in the region. But still, as you probably can remember, during the pandemic alone pushed more than 20 million people to poverty in Latin America. So it was a very difficult time. Unfortunately, the privilege of having a challenge with unrestricted funds is not a privilege of Techo. There are over 1.8 million nonprofits in the US alone, and more than 10 million worldwide, and nearly all of them need support in raising unrestricted funds, because without unrestricted funds, social entrepreneurs lack the flexibility to allocate the resources where they're most needed, which, end of the day, limits their ability to scale social impact. Now, why this is important, and why this is even more important now, and I thought this piece was a good description of what we have been facing with the recent changes in the US federal government. The article was published recently and says, revenue diversification is generally a wise financial goal for all organizations. A heavy reliance on government funding leaves organizations vulnerable to sudden policy shifts and budget cuts, regardless of who is in the office, which risks long-term financial sustainability. A best practice is to assess current funding streams and develop a plan and a runway to shift revenue sources to unrestricted funds. So basically what we're saying here is, the more unrestricted funds we have, the more flexibility we have to define our own priorities as social entrepreneurs and scale our impact. Now, when we look at the US market, we are seeing a tremendous opportunity in a very well-established market. This is a market that has been growing year after year consistently. And last year, according to the latest Giving USA report, we had a market of $557 billion philanthropic dollars in the US. Now, the interesting data point of that market is almost 67% of those dollars are actually coming from the individuals. So not foundations, not large corporations, but from individuals. And that's why we see, that giving campaigns can be a powerful tool to tap into that opportunity, to tap into that market, and help social entrepreneurs scale their impact. Now, what are giving campaigns? Giving campaigns are basically organized efforts to raise funds for a specific cause, for a specific organization, or for a network of organizations. And they can take different shapes and forms. They can take the form of a giving day, which is usually the 24-hour events that we see, or last for an extended period of time. Now, why giving campaigns, in our opinion, are important for social entrepreneurs? First, especially when we're talking about the giving campaigns that are designed to support a network of organizations at the same time. They are very cost effective in terms of fundraising, because they create a massive call to action for a number of different organizations at the same time, which saves those organizations time and resources. They build momentum, they inspire mass generosity. There is a widespread generosity by building momentum for people to engage and contribute to the causes that they really care about. And last but not least, they help raise flexible dollars. And those flexible dollars, again, there are the dollars that enable social entrepreneurs to quickly respond to emerging needs, to invest in vital infrastructure for their organizations, and to take advantage of unexpected opportunities. Now, I thought it would be helpful just to bring some examples of giving campaigns just to illustrate what we're talking about. And you're probably going to remember the Ice Bucket Challenge that took place just over a decade ago in 2014 to benefit the ALS cause and the ALS Foundation. That campaign alone it lasted for like 2 months, 3 months, and that campaign alone raised more than $115 million for ALS research. Just to put things in perspective, the ALS Foundation budget that year was less than $30 million. So that campaign alone raised actually more than 4 times the budget of the ALS Foundation. Now, another example here in the US, which is very famous here, is the North Texas Giving Day. This is the largest community-wide giving event in the US. Last year, the North Texas Giving Day raised more than $68 million to benefit 3,200 nonprofits in North Texas. This is a community-wide event organized by different community foundations where they all come together to organize this Giving Day. And last but not least, I also want to talk about Give Miami Day. Give Miami Day is the largest giving day in Florida. It's actually one of the top 5 giving events in the country. Last year, it raised $39 million. It benefit just over 1,000 nonprofit organizations. And the reason I picked this one in particular was because I had the opportunity to lead that event back in 2022. We raised at that point $32 million to help over 1,000 nonprofits in the Miami-Dade County. And I learned a couple of things from that experience. One of them was when I was looking at the data after the event, I noticed that more than half of the organizations that participated on Give Miami Day were considered small organizations with budgets, under $500,000. And for those organizations, Give Miami Day was the most important fundraising campaign of the year. Like those organizations were actually relying on Give Miami Day to raise all the unrestricted funds that they needed to support their operations. And then the question that I asked myself back then was, why are we only doing this once a year? And with that question, I wasn't necessarily suggesting that we should do more giving days, 4 or 5 Give Miami Days in that same year, because of course that would affect the purpose of the event, but instead create more opportunities, especially for those small, mid-size organizations, to raise more unrestricted funds and not be so dependent on one single event to do that. And that's what led me to create Good Ask. And what we do at Good Ask is we create these giving campaigns to help social entrepreneurs raise funds to scale their social impact. Very simply put, that's what we do. Now, our giving campaigns have 2 primary goals. The number one is to raise awareness about a social issue and the solutions that are addressing that challenge. And number 2 is really to help organizations that participate in the giving campaigns to raise unrestricted funds and to expand their network of supporters. So we don't want only the organizations to raise more funds, we want them to expand the number of the donors, the number of fundraising champions that they have as they participate in those giving campaigns. Now, how do we organize these giving campaigns? And they basically have 3 key elements. Number one, they're issue-based, meaning that they're focused on one or more sustainable development goals, uniting a network of organizations tackling that particular issue. So think like no poverty, and then a network of organizations working against poverty under that giving campaign, or Life on Land, and then you have a number of different organizations working on that particular issue. Second, these giving campaigns are time-based, meaning they're scheduled to run during a specific time frame. And in our case, the way we organize this, we have a kind of we call it early giving phase. So we open for a couple of weeks for people to start giving and for fundraising champions to start raising funds. And then we close that giving campaign with a primary giving day. So to build momentum around that particular day. And last but not least, these campaigns offer prizes and other incentives to engage the partners, our nonprofit partners, to engage donors, and to engage fundraising champions. And I will give in a minute a few examples of how we work with those prizes and what kind of prizes do we offer. Now, what do we offer as a platform? First, we like to call ourselves a campaign-ready platform, meaning that to help social entrepreneurs save time and resources, we design the giving campaigns along with all the content to promote those giving campaigns. We provide the peer-to-peer fundraising tools, the donation forms. So, the organizations that participate in those giving campaigns, they don't have to start from scratch. Again, back then in my own experience with, running nonprofits, I realized that sometimes it's really, really hard, especially for small and mid-sized nonprofits, to put a fundraising campaign together, because we need to think about everything, right? We need to think about the design of the campaign. We need to think about the platform for the campaign. We need to think about the social media content for that campaign. We bring it all together here. Now, we also offer nonprofit participants, the organizations, access to a donation dashboard, and that donation dashboard offers the data from all the folks that donated to your cause, all the fundraising champions that selected your organization, and how well they're doing in terms of raising funds for your organization. So you have all of that, access to all of that information, which allows you as a social entrepreneur, as a leader of a nonprofit, to not only monitor the donations that are in real time, but also to build relationships with the donors during and after the campaign. We wanted to be able to cultivate that network. As I mentioned, we also work and offer the campaign content and all the promotional materials. So we provide a comprehensive kit to all the organizations that participate in terms of materials to ensure that you have a successful experience with the giving campaign. And some of these resources include, the branding kit, the social media kit, email marketing materials, visual and storytelling. So again, it's a whole package that we put in front of you, so you can customize it if you want. But we wanted to make it, as easy as possible for organizations to participate and to succeed. The other interesting thing here, when I was referring a few minutes ago about our goal of helping organizations expand their network of supporters, part of the work that we do here is to vet a network of content creator, or as we know them, the social media influencers, right? So for each one of these giving campaigns, we work with a vetted network of social influencers, of content creators, to help get the word out. And that network includes folks that we call like the nano creators, so individuals with less than 10,000 followers on social media, all the way up to mega creators, so individuals with more than 500,000 followers. The reason we do this is because in our experience, we noticed that some of these creators are really good to get the word out and get the campaign in front of as many people as possible, which is the case with the mega creators because they have a lot of followers. But in terms of conversion rate, we noticed that the nano creators and the micro creators are more effective. So for each one of these giving campaigns, we bring these network together, and of course we vet those individuals to make sure that they are aligned with the purpose of the campaign, to help bring visibility to the campaign and attract more donors and more fundraising champions to support the organizations that are participating. Now, in addition to that, we also offer capacity building fundraising webinars, and this goes back to my experience with Give Miami Day. I remember running some of these workshops when we were getting the organizations ready for Give Miami Day. And one organization at some point raised their hand. The executive director of the organization raised her hand and said, "Look, I really need help managing my Instagram account." And we realized that, okay, some organizations are probably more mature in terms of because they have well-established teams, and they have a marketing team, they have a fundraising team, they know how to manage a fundraising campaign. Others don't, right? Especially the small ones. So what we want to accomplish with these capacity building webinars is getting the organizations ready to participate so they can take full advantage of the giving campaign, full advantage of that opportunity. So we offer, webinars on how to master the peer-to-peer fundraising, how to engage your fundraising champions, right? How you can do storytelling on social media, how you can use AI to increase your fundraising performance. So all those different workshops, they actually take place before we open the campaign for the public to donate. So when we do that, your organization is ready to go. And then last but not least, I want to talk about gamification. And this is one of my favorite components of the giving campaign, because we really, this is where the fun starts. We, in our giving campaigns, we offer a number of prizes to the fundraising champions and to the organizations that participate. And I will give some examples in a minute, but these prizes, they take different like shapes and forms. They could be, could be an award for the most creative campaign video. It could be, matching gifts for the participating organizations. It could be special prizes for, the fundraising champions. The idea here is to use the prizes to create momentum and really incentives for people to participate. Of course, by law, we don't offer prizes to donors. We can exchange gift, with donors. So the prizes are very focused on fundraising champions, so the individuals who are raising funds on behalf of your organization and to the organization itself. Now, there are three different examples of prizes. We have material prizes, we have experiential prizes, and we have recognition prizes. And prizes in each given campaign, they differ depending on the level of commitment from our campaign sponsors. Because part of the work that we do before we launch these giving campaigns is to reach out to sponsors to bring additional dollars to create those incentives for the organizations that are participating. So the more sponsors we have investing in the campaign, the more exciting, of course, the prizes become. But just to give you a couple of examples. So example of a material prize, these are the tangible rewards that, we give as incentives for achievements. They have a monetary value. It could be a cash prize. It could be a gift card. In one of our previous campaigns, we offer a brand new car as a prize for the best fundraising champion. So the individual that raised the most amount of dollars for, in this case, her favorite cause. And we offer in this particular case, we offer an alternate cash prize. And she decided to take the cash prize because she already had a car. But this is an example, a concrete example of a material prize. Now, example of experiential prize. Experiential prizes are, experiences that people may not have elsewhere. In one of our previous campaigns, and I think I shared this with you, Gabi, in our initial conversation, we offer for the top 5 fundraising champions an opportunity to travel to Colombia to build a house for a family in need. So that's a very rewarding transformational experience where people travel to Colombia. They all each one of these fundraising champions, they all had the opportunity to bring one guest, and the trip was all covered, and they spent like 4 days in Colombia building a house for a family in need. And now an example of a recognition prize. Well, recognition prizes are basically awards given to acknowledge and honor an individual for their contribution. So in our case, what we do for every single giving campaign that we have is we present a board highlighting all the fundraising champions. So all the individuals who decided to pick one organization and raise funds for that organization. And we give them, that recognition on a board. Which shows not only their profile and their fundraising page, but also the organization that they picked to support, how much money they raised for that organization. So it's all there for every single giving campaign. Now, Gabi provoked me with this question before the session. How can we get Red Catalyst members to participate? So first is to register. And registration is free. There's absolutely no charge to register in the platform. So you can simply go to goodask.org and click register as a nonprofit, and it will take you to a form, and you'll be able to complete that form in less than 10 minutes. We will review that application. You will see that the application will include information about your organization, and we'll review it. And once we approved, you will get an email confirming the approval. Once you get that, then every single giving campaign that we run, they run kind of in the same timeline. So we have 4 different phases for each giving campaign. So phase 1 is when we open the campaign for registration. So we always give a couple extra weeks for people, for organizations to register. Now, if you're already registered, you don't have to wait until we open a giving campaign to register. You can register at any time. And once we launch a giving campaign that is connected to the issue that your organization is working on, then you will receive a notification that your organization has been assigned as a beneficiary for that campaign. You are not required to participate in that campaign. We understand nonprofit organizations, sometimes they have conflicted interest. They have too many things going on. They have other campaigns going on. You might be putting your gala event together that same month. So you're not required to participate, but we will keep posting and sending you notifications about multiple campaigns throughout the year, because again, the purpose of our platform is to create more opportunities for organizations to raise funds throughout the year. So we want you to take advantage of those opportunities whenever you feel it's the right time for your organization. Then phase 2 is what we call the social media blast. That's when we partner with the social influencers to get the word out, and when we run the capacity building webinars. Those usually phase 2 takes about 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks are just before the launch, the official launch of the giving campaign. And then we have the launch, the official launch, when we open the platform for the early giving season, right? So the early giving phase, which takes about 2 weeks. We want fundraising champions to have enough time to build their fundraising pages, start reaching out to their network, start raising funds for your organization, and then we close that giving phase with the giving day, a primary giving day where there's a lot of momentum around it, when we bring people together to and there's this strong push for people to donate to your organization. And last but not least, we go to phase 4, which is the disbursement of the funds, and then we work with our strategic partner CAF America to disperse the funds. Usually takes 4 weeks, sometimes less, to get all the funds dispersed to your organization. Now, we are very transparent about the allocation of the funds raised. So if you are a US-based organization, meaning you have a 501c3 status, then you would keep 90% of all the funds raised with the campaign. Good Ask holds 7% of those funds, and CAF America, to make the disbursement, holds 3% of those funds. Now, if you're an international organization, you can still participate. You can still raise funds with the campaign. Good Ask would hold the same 7%. You would keep 88% of the funds raised, and CAF America, in that case, because you are an international organization, they have a different vetting process for that, so they retain 5%, not 3%, but 5% of those funds. But that's the only difference between a US-based 501c3 status organization versus an international organization. And with that, I would love to spend some time with hearing your questions. Again, Gabby, Madalena, Otavio, thank you very much for the opportunity to share this. I'm excited to be here. Actually, tomorrow, I have my official orientation with Catalyst, joining as a member. So really happy to be part of the network. And I'll, of course, leave here not only the website and the social media handles, but also my contact information. So if you have any questions after the Q&A, please do not hesitate to reach out. And if you go to the Good Ask website, you'll also see a calendar where you can book a call directly with our team. So you can just go there, select a time, and we can have a follow-up call if you need any additional information. That's it, Gabby. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruno. It's great to listen opportunities, and I want to recap very briefly to all our members. Bruno is offering not just the platform to participate in these giving campaigns, but all the support to make the campaign a success. One of the most difficult part of putting a fundraising campaign is to have the right social media campaign, the right ambassadors and influencers supporting your campaign, and the good ask is offered to our members that they will put all the support they need. So I want to open the floor for questions. Right now, we have a few questions in the chat. I'm going to try to resume, but if you have any other question or any comment for Bruno, you can post it in the Q&A section or in the chat. The first question is from Brigid. She is curious to know of those individuals' donation, what's the mean amount in your experience, average? And also, those dollars are coming from individuals, small donors, or net worth individuals?
Great question. So in terms of the dollar amount, so the minimum donation in our platform is $10. So 10 is the minimum one. In our experience, we have seen donations under $100, like the biggest volume of donations under $100, but they come in volume, meaning that you have a number of different small donors donating. Now, we do work with major donors, and we try to bring them as sponsors of the campaign to make sure that we can offer the incentives that I referred to. When we work with major donors, those incentives take shape like matching gifts, for example. So we bring that to increase the bonus pool, the incentives for the nonprofit partners. And even going back to my experience running Give Miami Day back in 2022, just to put things in perspective, out of the $32 million raised in that particular event, more than 70%, actually to be precise, 72% of those donations were $100 or less. So that can give you kind of a perspective of the type of donations that usually come in.
Thank you so much, Bruno. We have another question about the fee stripes. Bruno already share a little bit of the fee of the platforms, but we will also share the information with you in the email that we will send with the recording of the session. Bruno, I have another question. I'm going to mix one of my personal questions with one of the questions of our members. I know Techo campaigns and are one of the most successful fundraising campaigns that I never saw. And I have been working in fundraising for years. But Techo is not only successful because they raise the money they need, they're also build a community that support them for years. In your experience, the good ask how support the organizations to build this community and to have these long-term individual funders. And also my second question will be, who decide the awards for the donors? Who organize the rewards for the donors?
So thank you for the questions. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Techo is a very powerful network in Latin America because the organization was able to attract so many volunteers to work on those construction activities for these families. Yeah, and we're talking like more than 1.4 million volunteers across 18 different countries. The network is pretty robust, right? And when you have a network like that, of course, you have the power to reach more people, because even if sometimes those individuals are not necessarily donating to your organization, they are reaching out to their networks and asking for donations. So they're acting as fundraising champions. So what makes a giving campaign successful, and in the case of Techo, what made that campaign successful was exactly that, right? A very well-engaged network, which doesn't mean, you don't necessarily need to have 1.4 million volunteers, acting on your behalf in every single campaign. You just need to make sure that you communicate well with your network and you keep them engaged. And to be honest, like focused on your 10%, right? Your core, strong champions, because those are the ones who will help you scale and get to more people. In terms of the awards, so we make that decision based on the different sponsors that we get. Of course, sometimes the sponsor has an interest in supporting a specific prize or gets excited about a specific idea, but we also listen a lot to our nonprofit partners. Sometimes we like to talk to them because these organizations, these social entrepreneurs that we partner with, sometimes they offer those experiences, especially the experiential rewards, right? So we partner with them, we listen to them, and we partner with them to incorporate some of those offerings as prizes to the campaigns. And that's totally aside from the funds raised. I should clarify that if we decided to partner with an organization to sponsor a particular prize, we cover the cost of that prize, and the organization can still raise the funds, and participate in the campaign completely separate from offering the prize. We wanted the organization to participate in the campaign, and if there's an opportunity to sponsor a prize, then we'll deal with that separately. But we like to listen to our social entrepreneurs, because there are a lot of great organizations out there, a lot of great experiences out there, and a lot of organizations with tremendous experience in offering these type of products. So if there's something meaningful there, we'd love to know and partner with.
Thank you, Bruno. I have a question from Asha Murphy from our governing council. Asha question is, well, she mentioned it, this is a great service for nonprofits, but she wants to know if there is a way that a profit for purpose organization can apply.
Unfortunately, no, because we are raising donations for nonprofit organizations and 501c3, in the US with 501c3 status. So we can't request, donations for for-profit entities. So that's why we're limiting this offering to nonprofit organizations.
Okay. Thank you, Bruno. Another question. If I am an organization that don't have any experience in fundraising, never prepare a database of donors, and don't have resources to pay in the campaign, can I apply to be part of one of the campaign of the Good Ask?
Absolutely. And by the way, you don't have to pay anything to participate in the campaign. So there are no upfront fees, zero cost to the organizations to participate. We only retain fees from the funds raised with the campaign. So the 7% that I referred to that Good Ask holds is 7% out of the funds raised with the campaign. So you don't have to pay anything in advance to participate in the campaign. And yes, if you're a small nonprofit or a mid-sized nonprofit, you should definitely participate. We encourage especially small and mid-sized organizations to participate. And to be honest, part of the motivation to create the platform was to fulfill that need. We understand how difficult it is for small and mid-sized organizations to run a fundraising campaign, especially if you don't have a database, if you don't have a network, if you don't have knowledge in terms of creating content, and that's why we built this structure around these campaigns the way we did it, to make sure that you have everything that you need to run a successful campaign and to grow campaign after campaign, right? So the idea is that a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 campaigns from now, you will have a better network, you'll have more supporters, and you have more experience to succeed in future campaigns. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you so much. I have another question in the chat. One of our members asked if they are a hybrid social enterprise. Are they eligible?
If you register as a nonprofit, yes. You can still have I know many nonprofits, they have a for-profit arm connected to their organization, and that's perfectly fine as long as you register in the platform with your nonprofit status.
Great. So normally we don't open the mics, but we have a few more minutes, and I'm seeing that Isaac has his hand raised. So Isaac, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, the organizer of Catalyst Now. This is a great, wonderful platform. I want to commend Bruno for his presentation. So wonderful and so educative. My question straight is that as an organization, how do we navigate to this website? And I'm thinking, is it possible for us to have a demo of how to really operate the website? I'm talking about the Good Ask website. Can we
Yes.
have a demo? Can we have a webinar? Can we have a kind of a call before we can do the registration on the Good Ask website? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Zach.
Isaac. I
Thank
think
you.
we are going to do it live. Let me, I don't know if you want to do it live, Bruno, or if we can share it with the members, just how they
Yeah,
can register in the website.
yeah, I can share my screen in a minute, but Isaac, thank you so much for your question. It's very nice meeting you. So let me share my screen here and go to the website. One second, just move this window here. So again, the registration is super simple. You see, you have register your nonprofit for free button here, or you can even click join as a nonprofit up here. So when you do that, it will take you directly to the form. So here you will complete, with your first name, last name, you create a username, email, pretty, straightforward, like any other website, password, confirm password. You agree with the terms, and then it will take you to a second form that it will describe, it will request information, specific information about the organization. So the mission of the organization, the impact of the organization. So all of that information will be there, even like the logo of the organization, because we will, our platform uses that information to automatically build your organization page on our website. Once you have that organization page built on our website, then we will assign your organization as a beneficiary of a giving campaign, depending on the mission and how you present yourself to the organization, how the organization is presented to the website. Again, if you have work in mental health and we launch a campaign in health and wellness, or even a specific giving campaign to benefit organizations in mental health, rest assured your organization will be listed as a beneficiary of that particular campaign. Now, how to operate, going back to your question, how to operate the platform. Registration is one thing, the one that I just showed you. Now, how to participate in a giving campaign, we offer the onboarding sessions prior to the giving campaign, as I mentioned. So to make sure that you have that information fresh in your mind just before the campaign starts. So we show like how to build like how to create a fundraising champion page, how to direct donors to your donation link. All that demo is something that we offer just before we launch the giving campaign. So you have that fresh in your mind. But again, if you want to learn more about this or dive into more details, please don't hesitate to book time with us. We're more than happy to walk you through the platform. But as I mentioned, like we like to do this just before we launch the giving campaign, so organizations have that fresh in their minds.
Thank you so much, Bruno. Another question is there any number of years of operation as the limiter for nonprofit to apply?
No. As long as you have a 501c3 status or the equivalent in your country, you're good to go.
We have a few members that are already registered in the platform. We will be sharing with you the recording and more information. But in terms of thematics, stories of NGOs that has been the most successful, what are you seeing as the unique characteristics that resonate best and drive more donations? That is from Matthew from our Enabling Environment team.
That's a great question. And the answer is simple, it's effort. The more effort you put in a given campaign, the more successful you will be. Don't expect, when you participate in a given campaign, that just because your organization will be there and will get the visibility that, we will drive to the campaign, that you get donations. The most successful organizations that we have seen participating in giving campaigns are the ones who truly make the effort to engage their networks. And of course, as I mentioned, part of the work that we do is to bring new people to support the organization, but start with the folks that already love you, right? That already are passionate about the work that you do. The more you engage those individuals, the better. And part of the reasons why we decided to create this whole concept of offering incentives and prizes is to get these individuals also very motivated to participate. So imagine if you already have someone raising funds on your behalf, right? And you can tell them now that they can actually win an amazing trip, right? An amazing experience, or they can win a cash prize, in addition to all the great work that they're already doing for you. So that's an extra motivation to get them to participate. But I would say effort is the kind of killing recipe to have a successful giving campaign.
Thank you, Bruno. I'm watching Pearl has her hands up. Pearl, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gabby, and fantastic presentation, Bruno. Really informative. I have a question from a different jurisdiction. So I'm based out of the wonderful African continent, and I love what you've been saying, but I wondered if you'd had experience, say, fundraising for the African continent, but from a specific demography. And in this circumstance, I'm thinking about the diaspora. So I don't know if you know how much has been raised recently by the African diaspora, for example. I know last year's figures were in the $50 billion range, and just wondered, I guess, question if you've done any sort of fundraising that is specifically targeting like African diaspora for initiatives on the African continent or something similar, because I think it'd be quite interesting as a concept to see how that works.
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of diaspora, I can give you the example that we just talked about, the Techo example. Techo is an organization that only operates in Latin America. So we decided to focus on the Latin America diaspora in the US to raise funds for that organization. And that's exactly the strategy that we use when we have a very specific campaign. In that case, the campaign was very unique because we were only raising funds for one single organization. But think kind of the strategy is very similar in a way that you could think about Techo in 18 different countries. We're talking about 18 different organizations, and we're focusing on the Latin America diaspora to support that network of organizations. So that would be kind of the same, and we tend to apply that logic for other diasporas as well. Going back to my experience, at Ashoka, we did a lot of fundraising for African diaspora because we had a number of Ashoka fellows based in Africa. So that's how we kind of like to move the network, right? Depending on the scope and the theme of each one of these giving campaigns, we build a strategy around it so we can bring different sponsors and different donors to support that network.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Bruno. Thank you, Gabby.
Welcome.
Thank you, Pearl, for your question. And I have the last question included in the chat. Can you explain us a little bit on how the organizations can build their storytelling for the campaigns?
Yeah, so absolutely. So I think there are two suggestions there. Well, first, as I mentioned, we do a lot of that for the nonprofit partners, but we do not for individual organizations. We do for the campaign, right? We do for the issue, and then we let the organizations customize them that piece of content. We make that available and let the organizations customize it as much as they want to. And then for the storytelling for the organization, specific storytelling, that's all included in the preparation webinars that we host before the launch of the campaign. And that goes from, how I'm just picking examples from previous campaigns. So it goes from like how to build an effective social media Instagram content, because whatever you run on Instagram might not be as effective as, the same, might not have the same power if you go to a different platform. So I'll give an example. When we were actually running the Techo campaign, we partnered with a social influencer, and we sat down with her. She had 10 million followers on Instagram, huge celebrity in Latin America, TV presenter, amazing partner. She decided to support the campaign for absolutely no cost, which was amazing. And so we sat down with her and discussed how the content should look like. And then she created the most well-explained video about how to participate in the campaign. The video was about like 45 seconds long, where she was explaining step by step how to participate in the giving campaign. We posted the video. 3 days later, we look at the Instagram stats, the behind the scenes data from Instagram. And we were noticing that people were actually spending less than 8 seconds on that video. Meaning by the time she said, hey guys, I'd love to talk about something really cool, but people were like moving to the next video and to the next video. So what we learned from that experience, and of course we sat down with her again, we completely changed the content and we designed a whole new content piece to promote the campaign. We ended up being very successful. But that's the kind of experience and information that we like to share in preparation of those giving campaigns. So organizations feel that they have all the tools that they need to create their own videos. And we like to provide like a step-by-step guide on how to do those things. And we also, on our end, create the campaign promotional content to put it out there as well.
Great, Bruno. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all of you to joining us today. This is the 4th session that we organize for you to respond to the complex funding panorama that we are living right now. In this session, we receive a lot of exciting information from Bruno and the invitation to participate in giving campaigns. Many organizations around the world are asking us how to get access to unrestricted funds. And these kind of campaigns that support you to create a successful campaign are a great way to start. In our previous sessions, we analyzed the situation on the funding freeze from USAID. We also analyzed the potential possibility of getting fiscal sponsorship in US to create crowdfunding campaign for organization that has some teams and resources to put together campaigns. We also speak about how to receive funds from private sector and get access to other sources of funds. But probably today we have the first step to achieve this successful diversification of your funding strategies, because the campaigns that Bruno and the Good Ask are offering to you are free of charge, are also free of any previous resource of request. You just need to register and participate and start having access to other sources of refunds. So this is an invitation to all of you to start thinking out of the box, innovate, try. So you will see the difference. As I mentioned in the first session, the happiest day of my life after my 2 daughters' birthday was the day that I didn't have to apply for any other grant in my life. So having access to unrestricted funds could be a great difference for an organization. And this is a tool that is available for all of you without any cost, and it's a resource that you can use. In the chat, I put the links to the previous session if you want to take a look, and also the link to our fundraising masterclass, so you can also navigate the traditional funding scenario and increase the access to other sorts of funds. And we will keep speaking with Bruno. You will receive a follow-up email with the recording of the session, all the details that he shared with us, the presentation that he shared with us, and also his contact information. Bruno is now a Catalyst member, and we're very happy to have you in our movement, and we are happy to connect all of you with him. And looking forward to our next session. We are not going to have a session next week because we are going to be live from Bogota with the Catalyst Awards ceremony. We will share more details with you, but after the ceremony, we will see you in April for another exciting session about how to use AIs to increase your success in fundraising.